Good morning and welcome to episode 4 of the Rachelle Eason Blooming Artist podcast and show. I am so excited to be here to talk about one of my absolutely favorite topics, which is our home and our sanctuary. But before I get into that, I just want to remind you to go to rachelleeason.com so you can link to all of my social media. I am on Facebook at Rachelle Eason Artist. I am on Instagram at Rachelle_Eason_artist. On Twitter at Rachelle Eason. I have YouTube at Rachelle Eason that has all kinds of free painting videos and my podcast, my shows. And then also you can listen to my podcast on Spotify and other places where you get your podcast. So go ahead and visit rachelleeason.com for those links, or email me if you have any questions, comments, anything like that. I'd love to hear from you. So back to the topic of the day, which is our home, our sanctuary. It was about, I want to say 14 or 15 years ago that I really started to embrace that idea of our home being our sanctuary. And it was an unfortunate way that it occurred. We actually had a personal situation where we had somebody living with us for a while, and the negative energy from that person really hurt our family. And when we all felt like we just could not do it any longer, we looked at ourselves. We looked at the problems that we're generating, and it really almost broke up our family. And so at that point, we luckily regrouped, and we said, you know what? This negative energy, this negativity that was surrounding us was really the cause of our problem. And so, and you can see light coming in through that window, so it's going to get a little bright here. And yes, there you go, energy, natural energy, right on cue, sunlight, which I love here in sunny Central Florida in December. Anyways, so traditionally we are taught that we have to put this positive face forward. We have to accommodate everybody else before ourselves. And I really believe that is why so many households get broken up, because I know it almost happened to us. And what changed was that I reached out and I talked to one of my confidants, one of my friends, and she kind of set me straight. She said, you need to respect your home and its walls as it is your sanctuary. And again, right on cue, I don't know if you can hear the dog barking, but she is protecting our home. So many messages from the universe this morning, which is amazing. So anyways, so at that point, we had this long talk about our sanctuary and really protecting ourselves, protecting the energy that was within those walls. And we had to make changes. And the changes we made were not to our unit, not to our family unit. The changes we made were to that negative energy that was actually there to really put a wedge between all of us. And I have to say that was probably one of the most mature decisions I had ever made. I mean, we had already been married for, I guess about 24 years, 25 years at that time. And, you think when you're raising kids and you have a family that you grow wiser naturally and you put your protective gear on. And I know you have, as a mom, I have that mama bear, bear demeanor when somebody threatens my children. But it was the first time in our lives, I think, that we realized that we had to put that fortress up around our family as a unit and our house, our home as a unit. So anyway, so that is actually why I talk about this, because I feel like it's really important to shift our view and our perspective on certain things, and buck the social norms and buck the obligations that have been put on us by generations before. And it sounds selfish to look out for yourself. I mean, that's what we've always been taught. It's selfish to look out for ourselves. But as the world changes and our culture changes, I think we are realizing that wellness for ourselves and being an advocate for ourselves and protecting ourselves and our family and our homes, that energy in our homes, is actually the best thing that we can do for ourselves, but also for our community. Because when we are at our best, we are at our best for everybody else too. So I want to start sharing the different ways that we do that. And I borrow from a lot of different cultures in our daily lives, in my art journaling that I teach. I teach art journaling, wellness through art journaling. And those are live online classes. A little commercial here for you. Those are live online classes every week, Monday or Tuesday night, and you have the flexibility to join either one. And they are available actually on my website, RachelleEason.com. You can find out more about that. But I do create prompts that inspire your unique voice, and a lot of those prompts are rooted in cultural customs, cultural traditions, cultural explorations from different, not just different ethnicities, but different religions, wherever I pull them from, that it seems to make the most of the moment at hand. One of those is from the Jewish religion, and it's the mezuzah. And the mezuzah is a blessing that is they actually take a portion of the Torah and put that portion on a scroll. And that scroll is rolled up and placed behind a mezuzah, which is a decorative case that protects the home. And it's inscribed with, again, with that Hebrew blessing. So I am not Jewish. We are not Jewish, but we did celebrate a lot of the Jewish holidays with friends, very close friends as I was growing up, and they celebrated Christian holidays with us. So it was just a very wonderful relationship, and I learned so much, even beyond the matzah eggs that I eat at least 3 or 4 times a week. So, and they're vegan eggs, so it's a little different than the regular eggs that I grew up with. But anyways, you know what? I should really put my little recipe for that on in my Facebook page. So I'll go ahead and do that at one point. But anyways, I wanted to share with you my take on the mezuzah, and this is one that I have made out of clay. It obviously is not glazed yet. I have about 5 of these in different forms and they're all unglazed. I used to sell these in my shop. I no longer sell these. They're very, very labor intensive, as you can imagine. This one is destined to go on our front door. And what this is, obviously a house that represents our sanctuary. And then on the back, or in the back, is a little crevice, as you can see right here. And I take this scroll, and this scroll actually has the Apache blessing that is one of my absolute favorite blessings. And I will roll this into a scroll, and then it's placed in this crevice. And as you can see, there's holes for screws at the top and the bottom. And as I turn this over and pretend like it is mounted on my door frame, that scroll, that blessing, is forever encased in this decorative door blessing, and I can hang that in our like I said, on our door frame. And what that signifies is just this protective energy, this protective blessing that we have put over our entranceway. And it's just such an important belief to me that when we walk through that front door, that we try to do whatever we can to leave the negative energies outside, and we enter into this space of positive energy, of family energy. And yes, obviously we have our bickering and our differences and all of those things, but it's still our energy. and our energy flows and circulates within those walls. And like I said, we learned the hard way that the energy that you invite in needs to actually mix well with that energy that's already in there. One of the other ways that I always suggest people to really embrace their house and their sanctuary is by using the front door. And I grew up in a household where we came in through the garage where we parked our cars, or we came in the side door when we were, entering from leaving friends' cars or things like that. So it was always very much off the side, which I think a lot of households do. But when I got older and we got married, and we have moved 19, actually I think this is our 21st place that we've lived in, and this house is our retirement home. This is our 5th house we bought, and this is our retirement home. But most of the houses that we've either rented or all of the houses that we've owned, it was very important that we found houses that had the front door as our entrance. Growing up the way that I did, that front door was a gorgeous, gorgeous doorway. Big, tall, 2 doors, entrance under a balcony that was supported by columns, and it was absolutely gorgeous, and it was meant for guests. And that was the biggest thing when I grew up and we got married and had our own homes, was that our entranceway was for us. That was the way that we individually, we as a family, entered our sanctuary. It was so important that besides being that doorway to invite guests in, it was the doorway that our homes invited us back. And that heartfelt emotion, I realized from a very young age, but I could not put it into words until, like I said, about 14 years ago, when I finally was kind of knocked over the head by a friend of mine and said, "It's your sanctuary." So I protect that. With that front door, I also make sure that we have a wreath. Now, again, growing up, and I had a beautiful, wonderful childhood. I was very privileged. I went to a phenomenal all-girls school and had really so many privileges dawned on me. So I don't want to sound like I am not grateful. I'm extremely grateful for my childhood and extremely grateful for the development that it gave me, because of course it was part of my journey and it brought me here. You just kind of pick and tweak through little things that you want to change when you're an adult, and it works for your parents, but then when you become the parents, you need to do things that work for you. And I fully expect our children, who are actually all adults, and 3 out of the 4 of them living on their own, I fully expect them all to do their own thing, their own traditions, their own customs, their own way of day-to-day life. I definitely support all of that. But as far as the wreath goes, one of those things was the idea that from early on, my grandfather had always said that wreaths were actually a symbol for death, that they were at funerals and in the Catholic religion, I guess, believing in eternal life, and but it was a symbol that you put on a coffin or you put during funerals. And so for most of my life, I really believed that, and I stayed away from wreaths on my door. I might have had other little door blessings, door decorations, things like that, but not a wreath. Until I started teaching cultural explorations in my social studies group, my social studies class. I used to teach social studies in elementary school, and one of the things I was really big on doing was bringing in cultural explorations as enrichment for the different things that we were learning. And then I went on when I continued to teach outside of the classroom and taught art for the last 25 years and taught cultural explorations. I found out that wreaths were actually based in the pagan pagan custom, pagan beliefs. Of course, you know, it kind of dawned on me, of course, because they're made with natural elements, tree branches and beautiful leaves and flowers, everything from the garden. So they're based in this pagan belief, this pagan beginning, and then adopted by Christianity. And a wreath is actually a symbol of unity, of continuity, of wholeness, and also of focus. So when we think of the term zero in, we're talking about a circle that zeroes in to a focal point. Well, that's what wreaths do. Wreaths are a circle. They are never ending and everlasting. And when you circle into the focus point, the focal point in the middle of that wreath is your door, which is the doorway to your home and that energy within your home. So I am now, and I guess it's been for the last, again, about 15 years or so. It's been 23 years, 22 years since I've been in the elementary school teaching, but I've taught art for over 25 years. And I think really it's really been only about 15 years since I truly embraced the wreath concept. And again, that came from our sanctuary Eureka moment. And last year, I just have to tell you a little bit about the wreath that's on our door right now, and it's an owl wreath. And it was a wreath that I got for Christmas last year. Over time I've made my own wreaths, but this one just caught my eye. I was just drawn in by it. And it's a beautiful green pine wreath out of, artificial pine and pine branches. And there's a beautiful white snowy owl sitting on it. And I originally got it just for the holidays last year, and I love it so much that it's been up for now over a year. It's weathered well. We're in Florida. It doesn't get any rain or anything on it. It's protected from the elements. And an owl is my spirit animal, which is a whole nother discussion at another time. But I feel like that owl is sitting there welcoming us every time we come to that front door. And it's just saying, I always say woohoo and woot woot and that kind of thing in my art journaling, especially in my notes to my art journaling students. But I kind of think of my owl as saying that to us when we're walking home, like, ooh, celebrate your home. And, now you can walk in these doors and be exactly who you are meant to be. It's your safe zone, and you shed all of the worries and the weight from the day that you've had, and come in and just breathe in and breathe out and be you and be true to you. And that is kind of one of my favorite things about our front door. So those are 3 different ways, that I've shared that I actually do at the entranceway. The door blessing, coming in through the front door, and also the wreath. But I want to also talk about the rest of the house. And before I do that, I want to go ahead and put that little plug in for art journaling that I've referred to several times now. It is December, and it is gift giving time, and we think of gifts as things that people will really cherish. And I love to give gifts that keep on giving, and that's the gift of art journaling. So you can definitely buy a gift month for a friend, a special someone, a family member, and let them enjoy and embrace the art of journaling each week. It's art and words put together. We don't do a lot of the words in class. I think that's very private and personal, but I do throw out different lyrics or quotes, anything like that might help you along the way. But the way that I teach art journaling is very unique. It's very individual. It is very much about people unearthing their inner voice and expressing their own individual creativity. And I guide you along that way via prompts and discussion. And no 2 pages ever turn out alike of all the students. But it is online, it is live, it is weekly, every Monday or Tuesday, and there's flexibility between the evenings. And go to RachelleEason.com and you can find out more about that. But I want to go ahead and also talk about something from another culture, and it's Taoism. It's that I bring from the feng shui belief, or feng shui kind of way that we position things in our house and in our rooms, and it's called the bagua. And the bagua is a grid of 8 squares that circle around or square around a center square. So all in all, there's nine squares, and each square is very specific about what it relates to and things. And let me just read to you what the list is. It's wealth and abundance, fame and reputation, relationships, children and creativity, helpful people and travel, career, knowledge and spirituality, family and new beginnings, and then they all center around health. And what you do with the bagua is to take that grid and lay it, you can even lay it right over a sketched out floor plan that you have of your home. And the neat thing about the bagua is that it is not just for your home. You can decrease the space and put this bagua over just one room, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, or you can increase the size and put it over your property, your neighborhood, your community, your city, even your state, and it can grow and grow and grow. And I feel like that is just so fascinating, and I feel like that is actually one of the main reasons why I love to study feng shui and Buddhism and other cultures that have these ways of looking out in the world. I learned so much about how we can be better in our community, how we can be better for our earth. And anyways, that's another one of my soapboxes. But I want to go back into the bagua. So with laying that bagua over your floor plan, you can feel how the energy circulates, and you can bring things into spaces that help to engage the energy or to increase the energy that is in those spaces. So when you're looking at those 9 sections, the point is to pick maybe one section or 2 or maybe 3 at the most, because if you try to do all of them, you're really diluting the whole concept. So I like to pick, I have 3 spaces that I really cherish using this idea. One is our central living space, and that is the heart of our home, and that becomes in the bagua, the center is the health, but that is where I do believe that I concentrate that grid onto that space as a whole, and I make sure that I have things in there that bring that energy to fluidity, maybe that, so that energy flows. And I have to say, out of all of the places we lived in, this home that I knew as soon as we walked in the door, this was our home. When we were house shopping, it's this space. This space calls on us to sit and relax and just honestly just let out a breath of air and sigh of relief. And I'm a workaholic, and so for a space, and I work from our home, so to have a space that calls me to sit and stop and relax, even if it's just to have a cup of tea, to pet the dog. I've never had that before. I've never had a space that called to me like that. And we don't clutter our home. We have very, very little around our home. And we don't do the knickknacks. Of course, I have a gazillion pieces of pottery and books everywhere, as you can kind of see from the background. This is actually even more cluttered than any of the other spaces that we have in the house. But I have curated. In fact, somebody came to our house when we first moved in, and I had it kind of set up, and they said, gosh, it's like walking into a gallery or a museum or whatever. And That sounds really formal. It's definitely not. It's very casual, but it is curated. And when I mean curated, I mean that each piece that is set out has meaning and it has value to the energy that is created in that room. And I do appreciate gifts and I do appreciate everything that people have ever done, but I'm also very careful about the energy that I bring into the spaces. So that room is one that I'm extremely careful of. Everything in there speaks, and the words that come from it are words that have to really engage our true being as a family unit, as individuals, and it has to just relax us and give us that refuge that a sanctuary gives to anybody. The other room that I have been very careful about, and right now it's kind of in a mess because we're moving things around in different rooms, but it's our bedroom. And for about 5 years before we bought this house, I had my eye on a new bed frame. And I waited, and I finally bought it and gave it to my husband for an anniversary present, which was about 2 weeks after we moved into our home. And it's made out of mango wood, and it's a carved headboard. It has flowers carved into it and leaves, and it's absolutely one of my very, very favorite pieces that I've ever owned. And then I have a mango sideboard cabinet that is my altar in a way. It has my Buddha on it. It has my music bowl, and it has some intention cards and one of my prayer bowls, one of my blessing bowls, and peacock feathers, which I have everywhere. And so as I develop this room and make it ours, because we're finally at that point where our home is where we can be us. Our kids, like I said, are grown and mostly gone, and we don't have toys everywhere anywhere, which I loved all those stages, but now I feel like I can be mom, but now we can be us. Instead of being mom and dad all the time, we're back to us. And we had that for about 5 years before we started having children. We loved all that time that we had our children. We were raising them, and we were homeschooling. We homeschooled for 21 years, our 4 children. Now it is time for us to get back to us. And I think that bedroom is a really important aspect of that. And so as we put pieces in, each piece is very is curated to bring that energy. There's a couple pieces in there that we've had for ages, absolute ages, and those again are meaningful, and they will continue to stay in there, and I feel that power that comes from them. And the other thing we just added is actually a purple velvet settee, which was on my wish list for probably decades, and I'm just so excited. And I call that my comfy space. That's my I think back to the old artist ateliers and the old salons is what the word I'm looking for, and where the artists sat around and talked and drank and all that kind of thing. And I think of that purple settee as being part of that artist salon. So that's my other room. And then I have one more room, so it's my third room. And remember, I don't really want to go beyond 3 rooms, because then that energy is really just diluted. Now, other people can do their rooms. That's fine. Our daughter who's home, she can do her room, and anybody else who wants to come in and look at it. But for us, as this energy coming from our home, I'm just kind of doing this third room. And the third one is my studio, and I have 2 studios. I have a pottery studio that is in a converted garage, and then I have a painting studio, filming studio that's a separate room, so that the dust from the pottery doesn't get into everything else. And it's that painting and filming studio that I am working on, and we're shifting rooms in a few weeks. So this is kind of in the works as I plan it, and I am putting the feng shui, the Bagua principles over top of it. So anyways, so I think it's just a really nice way to look at your home and set it up so that the energy is positive, it's flowing, and it's uniquely yours. And that doesn't mean that you don't invite people in. Obviously, we invite people in, but we're very particular about inviting people in. So when they come in, they bring their own energy, and that energy mixes with yours and with what's already in that. And we're very cognizant of that mix. And just like a teacher knows in their classroom, the dynamics makes a difference between if somebody's even absent in the day, or how many students and how they're seated and all of that. The energy flow is that way too. So when we bring energy in from an outside source or somebody else, we make sure that all flows and works together. And we also, this is kind of one of the things that we've bucked in tradition. We have the experience of having just these huge holiday celebrations, family coming from all over the place. And the stress that came with that was just enormous. And again, it weighed on us as a family, and it made us dread the holiday. So we stopped. I mean, we literally just stopped. And we celebrate the holiday within our family unit, within our intimate family, our children, and their significant others. And that's it, because we want to embrace the holiday with memories, with excitement, and with joy. And over the years, there's been so many holidays that have been the opposite of that. And that, I think, is what happens in a lot of families. And I hear so many people that are stressed over families. And we're just kind of this calm and easygoing thing now that we figured this out. But it takes a lot of strength to go against the feeling of obligations and the feeling of tradition that others bestow upon you. And we just don't. We kind of put our big girl and big boy pants on and say, this is what we have to do for our family, and we love you and we'll visit with you, but we're leaving our holidays as calm and low key, and that's it. And it's worked for us for several years now, and we truly embrace that. So I'm going to go ahead and put in one more little plug for art journaling, and this is a testimonial that came from one of my students, and she actually bought a gift for her mother. So let me read what she wrote. And thank you, Trisha Woodland, one of my very closest, dearest, best friends. But thank you for even saying this. But she said, I bought my mom the month of September and a few art supplies for her birthday in August. I wasn't sure if she would like it, but it was just 4 classes. She has learned how to be in a Zoom class and is enjoying it. She spends the week adding details to her journal assignment. She really loves working on it throughout the week. After the 4 weeks were up, she signed up to continue taking classes, and she has now taken for 3 months. This is probably the best gift I could have given her. It makes a great gift. So thank you, Trisha. I'm so excited that you feel that. I am so excited to have your mom, Rena, with us. And what a pleasure for the last several months to get to know her as well, and the joy that it brings. And I also love the dynamics that is in that class, because you're in that class with your mom. My mom actually takes the Tuesday night classes also, and so we're in it together. And I have to say, and Mom, if you're listening, pat yourself on the back. And I need to tell you this in person, because I don't really think I have emphasized this enough, but you are truly really expressing your voice through your pages, and every week I am so impressed to see that, and am excited that you're doing that. And the same thing to everybody out there. My students floor me and they inspire me, and especially these, it's a continual journey. So each month, you can actually sign up for a subscription. So you can just automatically renew each month, or you can just do it month by month, but it's an amazing growth. Doesn't mean you have to do many months. You know, I have people that just kind of jump in for a month if their schedule permits it, but it is a continual journey. And that's the teacher in me. I've taught for so many years. I love to see that journey unfold before my eyes, and I love to point it out to people. So I want to tell you just kind of one other way that we protect our home, or that I really am observant to the energy that's in our space, and that is with sage. And I know a lot of people know about burning sage, a bundle of sage, and they burn it and do kind of a mantra or a blessing throughout the house as they're walking from room to room to room with the burning sage. And I do that. We do that during different times of cleansing through the year. But on a regular basis, I spray sage. And I actually have, here it is, I actually have my bottle of sage right here. And it is a white sage. And I started this years ago when I was showing at Disney and in my shop at Epcot especially. And I would spray all the entranceways. So we had 3 entranceways into the shop. And I would spray them every morning before guests arrived. And I said a blessing, and I said, please release the negative energy from this space and welcome love and light and peace. And I would say that as I was walking through. And the way that we were set up in Epcot was we had multiple artists and vendors kind of in a hub area. We each had our own shops, our own pergolas, we called them. I think now they're called these kiosks. It's like a 10 by 10 space, a 10 by 20 space, depending on where we were. And so people would wonder what I was doing. My colleagues would wonder. And so I have a really good friend who did the decorative flags and mailbox covers and all that. And they're from New York, New Jersey area. And she loved it. She actually adopted it. And so I started doing her space. And then I started doing the gardening space that was beside it. And so we were, set in Germany, and we were doing this. And then, of course, everywhere else that I was ever set up, Canada, the American Adventure, where else have I been set up in there? I've been inside stores. I don't know, all kinds of different places. I would always do this. And so it was great because, and then I found out on days that I didn't open that I had one of my employees, cast members that helped out on the side for me, that one of my colleagues, the one from the flags, Angela, she would come over and she would get the sage and she would do it. And then I ended up obviously buying her a bottle, and she continues doing it, I believe, wherever they show now too. And so I started doing that in our home and spraying that sage when I felt like our energy was out of balance. Like there was some negative energy that was creeping in and just did not want to go. And you can, if you believe and you feel it, you can actually feel the weight of that energy, that negative energy just pushing down on all the positive energy. So this spray sage is phenomenal. And it's an easy grasp off the counter, off the desk. And I use it. I truly believe in it. And if anything, it changes my perspective. And that is always a good thing when you feel a negativity and something can occur even that easily that can change your perspective and change your feelings. So I think that's phenomenal. So again, the way that all of this comes back to art is just kind of what I've said, is that art journaling is a journey to unearthing your inner voice and to discover more about who you are, and to, take you on an adventure to becoming as true and as elevated in your own body and soul as you can be. And that wellness through art journaling. And just by being observant and cognizant of the energy around you, I think helps that that unearthing, helps that releasing, whether you are just in, thinking about one room where you spend your most time, or you're thinking about other rooms, or you're thinking about your whole house in general and your area. I think that if you realize that there's energy circulating, that you can actually kind of influence in different ways. And by influence, I mean you can actually spray sage. You can do all the things that I've told you that I do, but you can also influence that energy by bringing in the negative energy. And so you want to counter influence that by saying, no, stop. That energy is not coming in here. This is my protective space. This is my sanctuary, and I am keeping it safe. I am protecting it. So I believe I published in my Behind the Brush, which is a membership group. I believe I published, I'm almost positive that I did. Yesterday in that group, I filmed a painting of a house, little symbol of a house, being held in a person's hands, and kind of the arms going around it. And that is what I think of, is that as much as that house protects us with walls and a roof, basic necessities, it gives us that energy to be ourselves. And so we in turn protect that space. And one last thing that I want to share with you before I sign off for the day is the gift that we give our house every Christmas Eve. And we gift our house a tree, and we plant it. The whole family, or at least everybody who can be here, takes part in this. And that tree is our gift of gratitude for the home that is there for us, that the love that home embraces for us, and the energy that it brings to us. That's our gift. And so each year we gift it with a tree, and it's life, and we're giving it more life. We're bringing more energy, bringing more oxygen to the air, to the area around us that we can breathe. And I look forward to this day, 20, 30 years from now, when we can look at this basic forest of trees that we've planted and gifted our home. I have never lived in a place that long, and I never wanted to, except this space. And I am so thankful for it all. So anyways, I hope that I have instilled a little bug in your ear and in your thinking to reflect and ponder and embrace the space around you as the beautiful entity of energy that it is, the living energy that it truly is. And I wish you well, and hope you have a delightful, wonderful week. I will see you again next Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live for my weekly talk and podcast. And so I want to also remind you to visit RachelleEason.com so that you can find out more about my online classes. And I actually have some pottery left in my shop for the holidays, and they are ready for immediate shipping. But check out RachelleEason.com, all kinds of classes that you can gift to others, the art journaling classes, the Behind the Brush membership, and if it's not already, if they're not already listed, I have 2 classes that are about to launch, and there's also gift cards. I'm so full of light and love and peace as I got to talk about this very favorite subject of mine. So I appreciate you listening, and I wish you all the very best. Thanks. Bye-bye.